In the quiet hills of rural Montana, where winters bit hard and roads turned treacherous without warning, lived Eleanor Hayes, a 79-year-old widow whose small farmhouse stood alone against the endless white fields. Her husband Tom had passed 10 years earlier, leaving her with memories, a creaky old house, and a heart that still believed in the goodness of strangers. Eleanor spent her days tending a modest garden in summer, baking bread from scratch, and in winter, knitting scarves for the local church charity drive. She had little money, but she had warmth to spare. One brutal January evening, as the sun dipped early and the sky unleashed a ferocious snowstorm, Eleanor sat by her wood-burning stove with a cup of tea. The wind howled like a living thing, rattling the windows and piling snow against the door. Visibility was zero, the world outside had vanished into a swirling white void. Eleanor was just settling in for a long, solitary night when she heard it, a low rumble cutting through the gale. At first, she thought it was thunder, but no, it grew louder, mechanical, insistent. Headlights pierced the blizzard, faint at first, then stronger. Multiple beams. Eleanor peered through the frosted window and saw shapes emerging, motorcycles, 15 of them, their riders hunched against the cold, engines idling roughly as snow caked their wheels. The men, tough-looking, leather-clad, with beards and tattoos peeking from under helmets, dismounted and approached her porch. Their leader, a broad-shouldered man in his 50s with a grizzled face and a patch reading "Iron Riders MC" on his jacket, knocked firmly. Eleanor hesitated. She'd heard stories about biker gangs, rough men who lived on the edge of the law. But these riders looked half-frozen, their faces pale, lips blue. One younger one was shivering uncontrollably. She remembered Tom's words, "In a storm like this, humanity comes first." Swallowing her fear, she opened the door. "Ma'am," the leader said, voice gruff but respectful, removing his helmet to reveal kind eyes under bushy brows. "Name's Jack Harlan. We're headed cross-state, but this blizzard hit us blind. Roads are impassable, and we're freezing out here. Any chance we could shelter in your barn or porch till it passes? We'll pay whatever you ask." Eleanor looked past him at the group, 15 men, soaked and exhausted. "Barn's too cold for humans," she replied steadily. "Come inside. I've got a fire going, soup on the stove, and plenty of floor space." Jack's eyes widened. "You sure, ma'am? We're not exactly Sunday church folk." "I've seen worse than leather jackets in my time," Eleanor said with a small smile. "Get in before you turn to icicles." One by one, they filed in, stomping snow off their boots, filling her modest living room with the scent of wet leather and engine oil. They were careful not to track mud, hanging coats by the door. Eleanor bustled about, ladling hearty vegetable soup from a pot she'd made earlier, slicing her fresh bread, brewing strong coffee. The men ate gratefully, some in silence, others murmuring thanks. As the night deepened, stories emerged. Jack explained they were a club of veterans and blue-collar workers who rode for camaraderie, not crime. One rider, young Luke, shared how the storm had separated them from their convoy. Another, Big Mike, helped Eleanor stoke the fire when her arthritic hands struggled. They spread blankets on the floor, taking turns watching the storm, ensuring no one froze. Eleanor dozed in her armchair, waking occasionally to find them quiet and respectful. By midnight, the house was warm with shared body heat and conversation. Eleanor felt a strange comfort, these strangers had brought life to her empty home. Little did she know, Jack had quietly stepped outside during a lull, making calls on his satellite phone. Word spread fast in their tight-knit world. Dawn broke gray and cold, the storm finally easing to flurries. Eleanor woke to the aroma of fresh coffee. Jack had found her percolator and brewed a pot. The men were packing up, folding blankets neatly, insisting on cleaning dishes. "You've been an angel, Mrs. Hayes," Jack said. "We won't forget this." Eleanor waved it off. "Just glad you made it through. Drive safe now." They filed out, engines roaring to life one by one. 15 bikes pulled away, vanishing into the snowy distance. Eleanor sighed, a mix of relief and odd loneliness settling in. She began tidying the house, humming an old tune, when a new sound reached her ears, a deeper rumble, growing like approaching thunder. She stepped onto the porch, squinting against the glare off the snow. In the distance, along the cleared county road, a line of motorcycles appeared. Not 15, dozens. Then more crested the hill. They came in formation, engines synchronized, turning into her long driveway. Eleanor counted in disbelief, 50, 70, nearing 100 bikes lining up neatly outside her home, chrome gleaming under the weak sun. Riders dismounted, a sea of leather vests bearing the Iron Riders patch and others from allied clubs across states. Jack led the way back, grinning broadly. Behind him, men carried boxes, envelopes, tools. "What's all this?" Eleanor asked, voice trembling. Jack embraced her gently. "Word got out, ma'am. You sheltered 15 of ours in the worst storm we've seen. Bikers don't forget kindness like that. We look out for our own, and now, you're one of us." They unloaded gifts, groceries to fill her pantry for months, firewood stacked high, a new generator for power outages. Envelopes thick with cash, donations from chapters far and wide, enough to cover her property taxes, repairs, and more. One group presented a custom leather jacket, embroidered with "Honorary Iron Rider" and her name. But it wasn't just things. Crews got to work, shoveling her driveway wide and clear, fixing the leaking roof she'd worried over, reinforcing the barn. A mechanic tuned her old truck. Women from the club, tough but warm, hugged her, sharing stories of their own hardships. An older rider, grizzled like Jack, pulled Eleanor aside. "Years ago, a kind soul like you helped my boy when his bike broke down in a freeze. Paid forward now." Tears welled in her eyes. By afternoon, the work done, they gathered for a group photo, Eleanor in the center, surrounded by 100 grateful faces. Jack handed her a plaque, "To Eleanor Hayes, guardian angel of the road." As they prepared to leave, engines revving in farewell salute, Jack lingered. "Any trouble ever, you call this number." He pressed a card into her hand. "We'll be here, all of us." The bikes thundered away, leaving echoes and tire tracks in the snow. Eleanor stood on her porch, jacket on, heart full. Her quiet life had changed forever, not by wealth, but by belonging to a vast, unexpected family. In a world quick to judge appearances, she'd proven kindness bridged any divide. And from that day, travelers knew, the little farmhouse on the hill always had its light on, protected by the roar of 100 bikes ready to return.